Ethan had always thought that space travel would be dull, full of numbers and long hours checking engines and systems. But today was different. The neutral space station, Haven 9, buzzed with activity, far more than usual. Merchants from countless planets moved goods. Diplomats argued quietly, and engineers like him scurried to fix minor problems. Ethan's job was simple: deliver a set of energy cores to a research lab on the station. He expected nothing more than a routine trip, a chance to make some credits, and then a quiet evening alone in his quarters. He had barely finished unloading the cores when a strange alarm blared through the station. Red lights flashed along the corridors, bathing everything in an urgent glow. "Attention," the automated voice announced. "Unauthorized boarding detected. Security protocols active." Ethan froze. "Unauthorized boarding?" He glanced around. Other people were panicking, shouting, running, trying to hide, but he had nowhere to go. The nearest exit was blocked, and the docking bays were already under attack. A strange feeling rose in his chest, an instinct he could not explain. Humans often had a way of seeing patterns and dangers quickly, a combination of instinct and intuition. Today, that instinct told him he had to act. The first alien intruder appeared at the far end of the corridor. It was tall and muscular, with armor that shimmered in dark green, eyes glowing faintly red. Its clawed hands flexed as it noticed Ethan. Without a weapon, Ethan's first thought was to run, but before his mind could fully decide, his body reacted. He ducked behind a storage crate as the alien lunged forward, narrowly avoiding its grasp. "Think fast," he muttered to himself, scanning for anything that could help. His eyes landed on a loose metal pipe on the floor. He grabbed it, swinging it with every ounce of strength, striking the alien across the shoulder. The alien staggered but did not fall. It hissed in a language he didn't understand and came at him again. Ethan rolled to the side, using his momentum to strike again. He had no formal combat training, yet his movements were precise, almost instinctive. His human mind could analyze, adapt, and improvise in ways even the aliens did not expect. When the alien aimed a swipe at his head, Ethan grabbed a piece of wiring hanging from the ceiling and yanked it, tripping the creature. It stumbled and hit the floor with a heavy thud. From her hidden vantage point, Lyria watched silently. She was beautiful in a way that made Ethan completely human. Tall, graceful, with hair that seemed to shimmer under the red lights. But she was also alien, a diplomat from the planet Siren with eyes that could pierce the bravest of hearts. She had seen hundreds of skilled fighters, yet none moved like this human. None fought with such instinct, such fearless determination. As Ethan continued to battle, he realized that running would not work. More aliens were coming, faster, stronger, more coordinated. One of them was about to strike him from behind when he caught a glint of metal, a crate's corner, sharp and jagged. He kicked the alien back with his foot and slammed the crate down across its chest. The alien roared and struggled, giving Ethan a chance to escape down the corridor. The station shook as explosions rocked the nearby docking bay. Lights flickered. Civilians screamed, scrambling for safety. Ethan's mind worked rapidly. There were injured people in the labs he had passed. If he ignored them, more lives could be lost. He took a deep breath and made a decision. He would help them, even if it put his life at risk. He dashed into the lab area. 2 aliens blocked the main entrance, ready to strike anyone trying to flee. Ethan didn't hesitate. He picked up a loose table and threw it at one of them. The table struck with a heavy crash, staggering the alien. He then lunged forward, using a combination of rolls, punches, and improvised strikes with the lab equipment to push past the second alien. His movements were chaotic yet precise, almost unpredictable. A human advantage. Lyria's eyes widened. She had seen courage, skill, and strength in many species, yet she had never witnessed such raw ingenuity. There was no fear in this human, only action, only survival, and yet not just for himself. There was care in his movements, a thoughtfulness toward the others around him. That was unusual, that was rare. By the time Ethan reached the main lab, he found 3 engineers pinned under a collapsed ceiling panel. He grabbed one end of the panel, then the other, using every ounce of strength in his body. Sweat ran down his forehead, his muscles burned, but he refused to stop. The engineers scrambled free, terrified but alive. One of the engineers gasped, "How are you doing this? You're human." Ethan gave a small grin. "I don't know. I just react. I can't just stand there." He had no time to explain more. Another wave of intruders approached, moving faster, more coordinated than before. He needed a plan, and fast. Scanning the lab, he noticed the emergency containment field controls. If he activated the field, he could trap the aliens temporarily, but the controls were on the far side of the room. He didn't have much time. With a burst of determination, he sprinted across the lab, dodging energy blasts and swinging loose metal rods to deflect attacks. He reached the controls, his fingers flying over the buttons. The containment field hummed to life, creating a shimmering barrier that trapped several aliens inside. The rest hissed and banged against it, unable to break free. Ethan leaned against the console, breathing heavily. His arms ached, his legs trembled, but he had done it. That was when Lyria stepped from her shadowed hiding spot. She had not revealed herself before, yet now she approached with quiet grace. "You fight?" "Remarkably," she said, her voice soft but firm, carrying a weight that made Ethan look up in surprise. He blinked, unsure how to respond. Thanks," he said, wiping sweat from his brow. He didn't know if she was an enemy or an ally. Her calmness amidst chaos was unusual. Lyria's eyes lingered on him for a long moment. "I wish you were my husband," she whispered, almost to herself, but loud enough for him to hear. Ethan froze. He had no idea what to say. The words were strange, unexpected, but they carried a sincerity he could feel. Before he could respond, alarms rang again. The aliens were regrouping outside the containment field. Ethan's instinct kicked in once more. There was no time for conversation. There was only survival. "Come on," he said, motioning toward the emergency exit. Lyria nodded, surprising him by moving fluidly, keeping pace beside him. They ran through the station corridors together, moving past frightened civilians and debris. Ethan's human agility allowed them to dodge falling panels and energy blasts, while Lyria's knowledge of alien combat helped them anticipate the attackers' moves. Together they were a strange but effective team, human instinct combined with alien skill. Finally, they reached a secure chamber. Ethan leaned against the wall, catching his breath. Lyria studied him carefully, her expression unreadable yet filled with a quiet admiration. "You are extraordinary," she said softly. "Few beings, alien or human, could survive like this. Your courage, it is unlike anything I have seen." Ethan managed a tired smile. I do what I have to. I don't think about being extraordinary." She tilted her head, watching him intently. "Perhaps that is exactly why you are." Her words left him feeling both confused and strangely proud. The station trembled again, reminding them that the threat was far from over. But for a moment, Ethan felt a connection he could not explain, a bond forming in the middle of chaos. He realized that this alien woman, who had spoken words that no human had ever said to him, might become more than just an ally. As they prepared to face the next wave of attackers, Ethan knew one thing. He would fight, barehanded if necessary, to protect everyone here. And maybe, just maybe, he had found someone who saw the human heart not as weak, but as strong. And somewhere deep in his mind, he wondered if he could ever live up to the whispered words, "I wish you were my husband." The alarms continued to ring. The station shook, and the battle was far from over. But Ethan's courage, instinct, and determination shone brighter than any alien technology. And Lyria, watching silently, knew that humans were something extraordinary, and that this one human in particular might change everything. The temporary calm on Haven 9 gave Ethan very little time to rest. The station's alarms had finally quieted, but the echoes of chaos lingered in the corridors. Civilians moved cautiously, peeking out from behind crates and walls while station security tried to assess the damage. Ethan stood in the central hub, muscles still tight from the fight, breathing heavily. Lyria approached him quietly, her steps almost silent on the metal floor. "You have remarkable skill," she said again, but this time with more formality. "Few beings could have survived that." Ethan shrugged. "I just do what I have to." "It's not skill, really. I just react." Lyria's eyes softened. "You underestimate yourself. Humans have a unique ability to adapt in the moment. You improvised in ways I have never seen from trained soldiers or combat units." Ethan frowned. "I guess. I just don't think. I act." "That is why you are extraordinary," Lyria said softly. She studied him closely, her alien eyes reflecting admiration and something else he could not quite name. "I wish you would allow me to help you." "To enhance what you already have," Ethan blinked. "Enhance how?" Lyria gestured for him to follow. "Come with me." There is much you can learn, techniques and strategies from my people. They are not what you know, but they can complement your human instincts. You could be unstoppable. Curious, Ethan followed her down the quiet corridors. The station was eerily still, save for distant alarms and the hum of machinery. Lyria led him to a training chamber that looked nothing like human gyms or combat arenas. The floor floated in sections above a glowing energy pit, and holographic targets appeared in the air, moving unpredictably. Strange alien weapons hovered in midair, suspended by invisible energy fields. "This is unusual," Ethan said, glancing around. "Unusual, yes," Lyria replied, "but effective. Your human instincts are raw and powerful, but you lack precision in some areas. Here you can refine your movements, adapt faster, and anticipate dangers before they appear." Ethan nodded slowly, understanding. "So, you want to train me?" "Yes," she said simply, "but not in the way you expect. I will not teach you to fight like an alien. You will remain human. We will only enhance what is already inside you." They began with simple drills. Ethan had to dodge fast-moving holographic blades, leap over gaps in the floating floor, and strike moving targets using only his hands and basic objects. At first he struggled. His human body had limits and some movements felt unnatural. Lyria watched closely, her expression calm but intense. "You are too rigid in some motions. Relax your body. Flow with the attack, do not resist it." Ethan tried again. He let his mind quiet, letting instinct guide him. This time he moved fluidly, weaving between blades, striking targets with more accuracy. Lyria's eyes widened slightly. "Better," she said. "You see? Your human intuition combined with minimal guidance allows you to adapt faster than almost any other species I have observed." Hours passed as the drills became increasingly complex. Holographic aliens appeared in larger numbers, moving in unpredictable patterns. Ethan had to climb walls, swing from energy bars, and use improvised tools floating in the chamber. Sweat ran down his face, his muscles screamed, yet he refused to stop. Every successful move reinforced his confidence. At one point, Lyria demonstrated a technique, rolling with momentum to avoid a strike. Ethan watched and mimicked her motion, adjusting his own body to match the flow. When he landed, he realized he had moved in ways his human body had never done before, yet it felt natural. "You are improving quickly," Lyria said, "faster than I anticipated. Humans truly are. Remarkable." Ethan smiled faintly, though his chest heaved with exhaustion. "I guess all that running and climbing as a kid?" "It helped." Lyria's lips curved slightly. "Perhaps. But instinct alone does not explain your resilience, your courage, or your ability to protect others, even when faced with overwhelming danger. That is what sets you apart." For a brief moment, silence fell over the chamber. Ethan noticed the way Lyria's gaze lingered on him, not just as a teacher, but with a warmth and admiration that made him slightly uneasy and oddly flattered. Why are you helping me?" he asked, catching his breath. "You don't owe me anything." "I do not owe you," Lyria said, voice soft. "But I see in you what few beings can see in humans, potential. And I admire your courage. I wish to ensure that potential is not wasted." Ethan nodded, unsure how to respond. Before he could say anything, the chamber doors buzzed and an alert appeared on Lyria's wrist console. "Trouble?" she said, frowning. "The rogue faction is regrouping nearby. They will not give up so easily. We have little time." Ethan's instincts immediately shifted. "We go now?" "Yes," Lyria said. "But you are ready. You have learned more in these hours than many take years to achieve." They left the training chamber and moved quickly through the station's corridors. Civilians looked at them with awe and relief, knowing that Ethan was no ordinary human. Word had spread quickly about the unarmed human who had defended Haven 9. When they reached the outer docks, a group of aliens had already breached the area. They were larger than the ones Ethan had fought before, armored and heavily armed. Normally humans would freeze in fear, but Ethan did not. He had learned to trust his instincts and combine them with Lyria's guidance. The first alien charged. Ethan dodged to the side, using a spinning motion to trip it with a nearby metal beam. The creature stumbled but quickly recovered. Lyria moved with him, her energy sword glowing faintly as she blocked incoming strikes and deflected energy blasts. Together they were a synchronized force, Ethan's human adaptability complementing Lyria's training and precision. Ethan found himself thinking not about survival but strategy. He scanned the aliens' movements, noticing subtle patterns, slightly slower attacks after a swing, hesitation before a jump. Using these insights, he disarmed one alien by knocking its weapon out of its hands, then improvised by throwing it to hit another. Lyria's expression softened slightly as she observed him. You are extraordinary. Not because you are fast or strong, but because you think beyond what is expected. That is the essence of humanity. Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. He did not fully understand it, but he knew her words were sincere. After several minutes, the aliens retreated, realizing that Haven 9 was not an easy target. Ethan stood amidst the wreckage, breathing heavily, bruised and cut in places, yet exhilarated. Lyria approached him, eyes bright. You have done it again, she said softly. And you did not even touch a weapon until necessary. Most beings would have relied on technology alone. You relied on your mind, your instincts, your humanity. Ethan wiped sweat from his brow. I don't know why it works. I just act. Lyria stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. That is why I wish you were my husband. Ethan blinked, unsure how to respond. But this time he did not feel awkward or confused. He felt a connection, a sense that his courage and humanity had been seen, truly seen, by someone extraordinary. The sound of the station settling into quiet reminded them that the danger was never truly gone. But for the first time, Ethan felt prepared. He had grown stronger, not just physically but in confidence. And beside him, Lyria stood, not only as a teacher or ally, but as someone who believed in him completely. As they looked out over the station's viewports, watching the distant stars, Ethan realized that the future would bring more challenges, more battles, and more moments where he would need to rely on his instincts. But he also realized that he was not alone. He had someone who understood him, admired him, and perhaps even desired a bond that transcended worlds. And in that quiet moment, Ethan smiled, ready for whatever came next. The calm on Haven 9 lasted only a day. The rogue faction Ethan had faced before was not finished. Reports came in that they were attacking a nearby colony, a settlement of civilians who had no defense against alien weaponry. The colony, Solara Outpost, sat on the edge of a barren planet with thin buildings and small energy shields. If the aliens succeeded, countless lives would be lost. Ethan and Lyria arrived aboard a small transport shuttle. The planet's surface stretched beneath them, dusty and harsh, with distant mountains casting long shadows in the late sun. Ethan's eyes scanned the horizon, noting every ridge, every structure that could be used as cover. Humans were known for observing, analyzing, and adapting. Today, that skill would be crucial. Look, Lyria said, pointing toward the colony. A cloud of dust and smoke marked the approach of alien attackers. They move faster than usual. They've learned from the last encounter. Ethan's jaw tightened. Then we'll have to be faster. The shuttle landed with a soft thud. Civilians poured out, panic clear in their faces. Children clutched their parents, and workers abandoned half-completed buildings. Ethan jumped down, assessing the situation. The aliens were tall, armored, and carried weapons that could melt through metal. Yet he felt no fear, only determination. Lyria stepped beside him, her eyes sharp. Your instincts have prepared you. Humans often adapt to situations with remarkable speed. Let us protect these people together. The first wave of aliens attacked the outer buildings. Ethan ran forward, barehanded, his mind moving faster than his feet. He lifted a heavy metal pipe, swinging it with perfect timing to knock an alien off balance. Another lunged at him with its claws, but he rolled to the side, grabbed a loose scaffolding beam, and swung it to push the creature away. One child screamed, trapped beneath a falling energy panel. Ethan dashed over, ignoring the blast of alien weapons around him. Using all his strength, he lifted the panel just enough for the child to crawl free. Another adult followed, helping the child to safety. Ethan barely paused, his human instinct driving him forward, thinking only of saving lives. Lyria moved beside him, her glowing energy sword deflecting shots that could have ended any human in an instant. She watched Ethan as he fought, noting how his mind worked. He didn't just attack. He observed, analyzed, improvised, and adapted. His bare hands were enough because he used his environment, pipes, beams, panels, even small rocks, to his advantage. You are incredible, she whispered to herself, unable to hide her admiration. She had trained many warriors from her own people, yet none had this combination of courage, intelligence, and human adaptability. Ethan noticed a group of aliens advancing toward the central plaza, where most civilians had gathered. Without hesitation, he grabbed a rope attached to a hovering cargo crate. He swung it like a pendulum, knocking two of the advancing aliens off their feet. The others paused, confused by the humans' unpredictable tactics. Humans are strange, Lyria said softly, more to herself than to him. Not just strong, but clever, brave and unafraid to risk everything for others. The largest alien, towering over Ethan, charged with its weapon raised. Ethan's mind raced. He didn't have a weapon to match its strength, but he had something else, his instincts. He ducked under the alien's swing, grabbed a loose energy conduit and yanked it toward the alien's legs. Sparks flew, and the alien stumbled, giving Ethan the opening to leap onto its back. Using every ounce of strength, he pushed the creature toward a wall, knocking it down in a cloud of dust and sparks. Lyria watched, a faint smile appearing on her face. You do not fight like any human I have heard of or seen. You fight with heart, courage, and mind together. Ethan moved to help a group of civilians trapped near the edge of the plaza. The aliens were regrouping, coordinating attacks now with alarming efficiency. Ethan realized they needed a strategy, not just brute force. He grabbed a communication panel and sent a quick signal to the colony's defense system. Activate the force barriers in sequence, confuse them, he shouted. The shields hummed to life in staggered intervals, creating barriers that the aliens had not anticipated. They stumbled, giving Ethan and Lyria time to evacuate the civilians safely. The humans moved as fast as they could, guided by Ethan's calm, steady commands. Children held hands with adults, and workers followed his instructions without hesitation. It was a sight few aliens could understand. One unarmed human leading an entire colony with nothing but courage, instinct, and quick thinking. During a pause in the fighting, Ethan turned to Lyria. They're stronger than last time, but we can handle this if we stay smart. Lyria nodded, her eyes fixed on him. Yes, but you amaze me. Not only do you fight, but you protect. Most would hide. Most would run. You are human, and yet you are exceptional. Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had always believed that humans were just ordinary beings trying to survive in a vast universe. Now he realized that his instincts, courage, and heart were qualities few beings, alien or human, possessed in such harmony. Another wave of attackers approached, more coordinated than before. Ethan and Lyria positioned themselves at the colony's center, forming a line of defense. Ethan used debris, overturned carts, and even the natural slope of the terrain to slow the aliens' advance. He dodged, rolled, and struck, each movement precise yet unpredictable. The aliens had strength, technology, and numbers, but he had ingenuity. At one moment, an alien raised its energy weapon at a small group of children. Ethan reacted instantly, running faster than he thought possible, knocking a metal beam into the alien's path. Sparks flew and the alien was momentarily stunned. The children screamed, but Ethan waved them forward, guiding them to safety. Lyria moved beside him, intercepting attacks he could not see. Together they were unstoppable, not because of weapons or technology, but because of strategy, trust, and courage. After what felt like hours, the aliens finally retreated, confused and beaten by the unexpected tactics of the human. The colony was saved, though the buildings bore scars from the battle. Civilians cheered, hugging one another and thanking Ethan. He felt exhausted, bruised and bleeding in a few places, yet an unusual pride filled him. Lyria stepped closer, her eyes softening as she looked at him. You have done it again, she said, voice barely above a whisper. You are not just a fighter, you are remarkable in every sense. Ethan shook his head, trying to catch his breath. I do what I have to. I can't stand by while people are hurt. Lyria's expression grew tender. That is what I admire most. Your courage is not just physical, it is moral. And your human mind? It can see opportunities and solutions that many more advanced beings cannot. You are extraordinary. For a moment, silence fell. Ethan looked at her, noticing the way her eyes lingered on him. He remembered her words from the station. I wish you were my husband. He didn't know what to say, but this time he felt a strange calm. He realized that Lyria had seen more than his skill. She had seen his heart. The sun dipped behind the mountains, casting long shadows over the battered colony. Ethan and Lyria stood among the civilians, surrounded by quiet murmurs of relief. He realized that the fight was not over. The rogue faction would return, but he felt ready. He had learned, grown, and proven that even one human, with courage and intelligence, could make a difference in the universe. Lyria stepped beside him, her hand brushing his slightly. Humans are unique, and you, Ethan, are one of the finest examples I have ever seen. I wish you were my husband. Ethan smiled faintly, exhausted but alive, and understood for the first time that the words were not just admiration, they were something more. A bond was forming, one that crossed species and worlds, and he knew that whatever battles lay ahead, he would not face them alone. As night fell over Solara Outpost, the stars above reminded Ethan of the vast universe and the challenges it held. But he also realized something else. Humans were not weak, fragile, or ordinary. They were adaptable, courageous, and capable of incredible things. And he, a single human, had proven it today. Beside him, Lyria's gaze never left him. Together, human and alien, they had saved lives, stood against impossible odds, and begun a connection that might change both their futures. And Ethan knew one thing for certain. Whatever came next, he would face it with courage, ingenuity, and heart, the true essence of humanity. Ethan and Lyria left Solara Outpost under the cover of night, their small transport shuttle gliding silently above the barren planet. The rogue faction had retreated, but Ethan knew they would not stay away for long. Each encounter had taught him more about their patterns, their weaknesses, and their relentless determination. But this time the stakes were higher. Their stronghold is on the far side of the planet, Lyria said, her finger tracing a path on the holomap projected in front of them. They are preparing for a counterattack. We cannot allow them to regroup and strike again. Ethan leaned closer, studying the map. The stronghold was hidden in jagged mountains, partially camouflaged with energy shields and advanced sensors. We'll need to be smart, he said. No rushing in blindly. Indeed, Lyria agreed. But I trust your instincts. Humans can see solutions where others see only obstacles. The shuttle descended near the base of the mountains. The air was thin, dry, and cold, whipping around them as they stepped onto the rocky terrain. Ethan adjusted his jacket, feeling the tension in his muscles. He knew this would be more dangerous than anything he had faced so far. Lyria led the way, her movements silent and precise. Follow my lead, she whispered. We will avoid detection until the moment is right. They moved carefully, using the terrain to their advantage. Ethan marveled at how Lyria navigated the mountain slopes effortlessly. But he also realized that humans had something she could not replicate: instinct. Every time an alien sensor passed near them, Ethan's gut warned him of the danger before the machine even reacted. He shifted, ducked, and guided Lyria away from detection, his human intuition saving them repeatedly. When they reached the edge of the stronghold, Ethan crouched behind a jagged rock. He could see the aliens patrolling, heavily armed and armored. There are more than 50, he whispered. And they have surveillance drones everywhere, Lyria nodded. We must be careful. One wrong move and we will be detected. Ethan took a deep breath. Then we improvise. That's what humans do best. Using his instincts and quick thinking, he observed the patrol patterns and weak points in the alien defenses. He pointed out an energy conduit running along the outer wall. If we disable that, their shields will flicker for a few seconds. That's our window. Lyria raised her eyebrows in admiration. Humans are indeed clever. Let us proceed. They moved quickly, disabling the conduit with a precise strike of Lyria's energy sword. Sparks flew, and a section of the shield flickered. Ethan led the way, timing their movements perfectly with the shifts in the shield. Within moments, they were inside the stronghold. The interior was a maze of metal corridors, glowing panels, and alien symbols. Ethan's instincts guided him, noting weak points in the walls, potential traps, and paths that would avoid unnecessary confrontation. They had to reach the central control room to stop the rogue faction from coordinating attacks across multiple colonies. As they moved deeper, a patrol squad appeared. Ethan ducked behind a console, whispering instructions. When I strike, move fast. Use the shadows. The squad paused, scanning the corridor. Ethan rolled out from cover, striking the nearest alien with a metal pipe he had found. The alien staggered. Lyria followed, her energy sword moving in a blur, disabling another attacker. Their teamwork was seamless. Ethan's human improvisation combined with Lyria's precision and skill. After the brief skirmish, they continued. Ethan's mind worked constantly, calculating angles, predicting patrol routes, and using the environment to his advantage. Every step, every movement was deliberate. He knew that one mistake could mean capture, or worse. Finally, they reached the central control room. The doors were heavy, reinforced with alien technology, but Ethan noticed a small maintenance hatch on the side. He examined it, nudging the panel open with his fingers. "This will be tight," he said, "but we can get inside." Lyria gave a small nod, slipping through first. Ethan followed, his body bending and twisting in ways that felt natural but were impossible for many aliens. Once inside, the room was filled with consoles, holographic displays, and glowing energy cores. Several alien technicians worked frantically, unaware of their approach. Ethan's heart pounded. He could see the controls that coordinated the rogue faction's attacks. "We need to disable these," he whispered. "Quickly." Lyria moved to the nearest console, slicing through security protocols with her energy sword. Ethan used his hands, pressing buttons, rerouting energy, and shutting down systems in ways that would confuse the aliens. His human adaptability allowed him to understand the alien technology quickly, finding weaknesses in logic and patterns. The aliens finally noticed them and shouted in their strange language. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He grabbed a nearby metal rod, swinging it to knock one alien back while using another to trip a second. Lyria moved beside him, precise and deadly, deflecting attacks and keeping them both safe. Even as more aliens poured in, Ethan remained calm. He saw opportunities that others missed. A loose conduit here, a fallen console there. He used each to their advantage, creating obstacles, slowing the attackers, and buying time for Lyria to complete the system shutdown. Finally, with a bright flash and a hum, the central controls went offline. The rogue faction's communication and energy systems collapsed. Aliens outside the stronghold were suddenly disoriented, their coordinated attacks disrupted. Ethan leaned against a console, breathing heavily, but with a satisfied grin. "We did it," he said. Lyria looked at him, her expression softening. "Yes, and you did more than fight. You thought, adapted, and led. Humans are truly remarkable. I see now why so many underestimate your species." Ethan smiled faintly. "I guess it's what humans do. We survive. We protect. We find a way." For a moment, silence fell in the control room. Lyria's eyes met his, and for the first time there was no discussion of strategy or combat. "Only understanding, admiration, and a deep connection. I wish you were my husband," she said softly, repeating the words she had whispered before. Ethan felt a strange warmth. He did not know if he could respond. The battle had left him exhausted, bruised, and bleeding, yet her words made him feel strong, seen, and valued. Before they could speak further, an alert sounded. The remaining aliens outside the stronghold were regrouping, but without their coordination they would be much easier to handle. Ethan straightened, determination returning. "Let's finish this," he said, voice steady. "We protect the people, and then we'll talk." Together, human and alien warrior, they moved back into the corridors. Ethan's bare hands were ready, his mind sharp, and his instincts unparalleled. Lyria moved with him, a perfect complement to his unpredictability. Every strike, every movement, every decision showed why humans were extraordinary, capable of courage, intelligence, and ingenuity that few could match. The remaining aliens attacked, but their movements were sloppy, uncoordinated, and predictable. Ethan and Lyria moved like a single unit, Ethan improvising with human instinct, Lyria striking with alien precision. They cleared the corridors, evacuated technicians, and disabled any remaining weapons. When the last alien fell, Ethan allowed himself a deep breath. The stronghold was theirs. The rogue faction's plans had been stopped, at least for now. The colony they had saved would remain safe, and the humans and aliens alike had witnessed the power of ingenuity and courage in action. Lyria approached Ethan once more. She placed a hand lightly on his arm, her eyes bright with admiration. "You are incredible, more than I imagined. More than I dared to hope." Ethan looked at her, bruised and tired, but smiling. "I just do what I have to," he said softly. "But, thank you." She stepped closer, voice almost a whisper. "I wish you were my husband." Ethan felt something he had never felt before, a sense of connection, respect, and admiration that crossed the boundaries of species. He knew that whatever challenges awaited, he would not face them alone. And that thought, more than any victory, filled him with strength. Outside the stronghold, the stars shone brightly over the barren mountains. Ethan and Lyria stood together, human and alien, bonded by courage, trust, and admiration. They had faced impossible odds and prevailed. And now, as the galaxy watched silently, the true potential of humanity shone clearly. Resilient, brave, and extraordinary in ways no one could deny. The rogue faction had been defeated at their stronghold, but Ethan knew the battle was far from over. The faction's leader, a massive alien known as Zarvok, had escaped during the chaos. Reports indicated he was rallying reinforcements to strike multiple colonies at once. If Ethan and Lyria did not stop him now, countless lives would be at risk. "We need to move fast," Ethan said, standing in the transport shuttle as it hovered above a jagged asteroid field. "If Zarvok coordinates these attacks, no colony will survive." Lyria nodded. "Agreed, but this will be dangerous. Zarvok is cunning, powerful, and merciless. Few beings could face him and live." Ethan clenched his fists. "I'm not just any being." The shuttle descended near a desolate moon where Zarvok's forces had gathered. The barren surface was scarred by previous skirmishes, with craters and ruins scattered across the landscape. Ethan scanned the area, noting every ridge, every rock, every shadow that could hide an ambush. Lyria studied him, her alien eyes reflecting admiration and something deeper. "You are remarkable human. You see the battlefield in ways even my warriors would miss. You truly are extraordinary." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest at her words, but he focused on the task ahead. "Let's end this. For the colonies." They moved silently across the moon's surface, using the shadows and terrain to their advantage. Zarvok's patrols were numerous, heavily armed, and relentless. Ethan relied on his instincts, dodging, rolling, and improvising with debris and terrain. Each alien that approached was met with a combination of human ingenuity and raw courage. Lyria moved beside him, her energy sword slicing through attacks with precise efficiency. They were a perfect team. Ethan unpredictable, adaptive, and clever. Lyria precise, powerful, and strategic. Together, they advanced toward Zarvok's command center. At one point, a massive alien ambush blocked their path. Ethan's mind worked instantly. He grabbed loose rocks and panels, throwing them to create distractions while Lyria struck with swift, lethal precision. They cleared the path without a single casualty, civilians or themselves getting harmed. Finally, they reached the towering command center. Its walls shimmered with energy shields and alien drones circled above, scanning for intruders. Ethan crouched behind a rock, assessing the situation. "We need to take him down quietly," he said. "Zarvok is smart. If he detects us too soon, the colonies lose." Lyria's eyes softened as she looked at him. "You are brave and clever. I am honored to fight beside you." Ethan felt a strange warmth again, but he nodded. "Let's move." Using a combination of stealth, quick thinking, and raw courage, they infiltrated the command center. Ethan noticed structural weaknesses in the building and used them to bypass heavily guarded corridors. Lyria covered him, her energy sword slicing through any obstacles that could not be avoided. When they reached Zarvok's inner chamber, the alien leader was waiting. He was enormous, with glimmering armor and piercing eyes that radiated malice. "So, the human arrives," Zarvok said, his voice a low growl. "I expected nothing. Yet here you stand." Ethan stepped forward, unarmed but confident. "I stand for the colonies, for humanity, and I will stop you," Zarvok laughed, a deep, terrifying sound. "You alone? You are weak, fragile, nothing but a human." Ethan's eyes narrowed. He did not back down. "I may be human, but I am not weak. I adapt, I improvise, and I protect those who cannot protect themselves." The battle began. Zarvok lunged with his massive claws, each strike capable of crushing stone. Ethan dodged, rolled, and countered using anything at hand, pipes, panels, even the floor itself, to push off and redirect attacks. Lyria joined in, striking with her energy sword, creating openings that Ethan exploited. Zarvok's strength was immense, but his attacks were predictable compared to Ethan's improvisation. The human dodged, twisted, and used the alien's own momentum against him. A well-timed leap, a push off a wall, and a fallen beam knocked Zarvok off balance. "You are persistent," Zarvok growled, recovering quickly. Ethan took a deep breath, scanning the room for anything he could use. He noticed energy conduits running along the walls. With quick calculation, he dodged Zarvok's attack, grabbed a conduit, and used it to create a short circuit. Sparks flew, temporarily blinding the alien leader. Lyria struck immediately, her energy sword piercing the exposed weakness. Zarvok roared but staggered. Ethan seized the moment, running forward and using his bare hands to disarm the massive weapon Zarvok wielded. The human's speed and ingenuity outmatched the brute strength of the alien leader. With another coordinated strike from Lyria, Zarvok collapsed, defeated. The remaining forces, leaderless and disoriented, surrendered or fled. The colonies were safe, at least for now. Ethan stood, chest heaving, bruised and cut, but victorious. Lyria approached, her eyes shining. "You did it," she whispered. "Not just with strength, but with courage, intelligence, and heart." "You are more than I imagined." Ethan wiped sweat from his brow, a tired but satisfied smile forming. "I just do what I have to. I protect, I adapt, I survive." Lyria stepped closer, placing her hand on his shoulder. Her gaze held admiration, respect, and something deeper. "And that is why I wish you were my husband." Ethan felt warmth spread through him. He had faced impossible odds, saved countless lives, and proven the true strength of humanity. But her words reminded him that courage and skill were not the only qualities that mattered. Connection, trust, and admiration were just as powerful. He smiled faintly, meeting her gaze. I think I understand now. You've seen more than what I can do in battle. You've seen me," Lyria nodded, her eyes softening. "Yes, the human spirit. Your courage, your mind, your heart. I have never seen anything like it. And I never want to lose it." Outside, the stars stretched endlessly across the dark sky. Ethan and Lyria stood together, human and alien, bonded not only by battle but by mutual respect and admiration. The rogue faction had been defeated, colonies were safe, and the galaxy had witnessed the extraordinary potential of humanity. Ethan realized something profound. Humans were adaptable, courageous, and capable of incredible feats, not just in combat, but in strategy, leadership, and heart. He had proven that one human, acting with intelligence and courage, could make a difference across worlds. Lyria's hand lingered on his shoulder. "Whatever comes next, human. We face it together." Ethan smiled, feeling stronger than ever. "Together," he agreed. For the first time in a long while, he allowed himself to imagine a future where danger existed, but was met with courage, intelligence, and trust. Where humans could be recognized not just for their fragility, but for their extraordinary abilities, and where bonds could form across species based on admiration, respect, and heart. Lyria's gaze softened once more. "I will not ask again," she said gently, "but I hope one day you might consider it. To be my husband." Ethan looked at her, at the courage and wisdom reflected in her eyes, and nodded. "Perhaps one day," he said softly. "But for now, let's make sure the galaxy remains safe. Together." The stars above twinkled like countless eyes watching silently, bearing witness to the incredible strength of the human spirit. Ethan had fought, adapted, and survived. He had protected the innocent and defeated the impossible. And beside him, Lyria, the alien warrior who had once whispered a wish, stood as a testament to the connections that humans could forge, their courage and ingenuity bridging worlds. As the shuttle lifted off from the barren moon, Ethan looked out at the galaxy, a sense of pride and purpose filling him. He had proven that humanity, even in one person, was capable of greatness. He had shown that courage, intelligence, and heart could change outcomes across worlds. And he knew with certainty that whatever challenges lay ahead, humans would rise, resilient, brave, and extraordinary. Beside him, Lyria's hand brushed against his. No words were needed. The bond they shared, forged in battle and trust, was unspoken yet undeniable. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, Ethan knew that together, human and alien, they would face whatever the universe had in store.